Hey there! Thanks for joining me today. I'd like to make a Valentine's garland with you. My name is Amanda and I run an Etsy shop. The shop name is Just Wreathin' Around Texas, or TX. And I thought we could make a garland to put on your fireplace, since we all know that once we take down our Christmas stuff, our fireplaces feel kind of bare. So join me today as we make a garland together. So I was lucky enough to have a few garlands left over from Christmas time that were pre-lit, but you could also use a garland that does not have lights in it to create the same piece. So I started out by fluffing my garland, and then you can see I take this 10-inch mesh that I had found at Michael's, and I am creating puffs along the garland. Basically, what I did was I gathered it into the center, and then I take two branches and I wrap it around to place the garland, or to hold the garland in place. And then I measure about 6 inches to create a puff, and then I put it between two branches again and secure it. And then I just go all the way down the garland to create these puffs all the way down. Now, for this project, I actually chose a beige mesh because I know I'm going to be adding quite a bit of red and white to the garland once I add my ribbon. So I wanted to give it kind of a neutral base so that my ribbon would pop on this garland. So you can really you could choose any mesh that you want. A lot of people would use white or red. Some people use printed mesh. Some people use plain mesh. It's really up to you and what your style is. And now it's time to cut some ribbon so that I can add it to the top of the garland. So I had chosen several 2.5-inch wired ribbons. I found all of these ribbons either at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And what I've done is I have a board that I cut at home that is 12 inches long. So this helps me to get my ribbon cut way faster than cutting it one by one. I basically wrap it around the board over and over again until I get the number that I'm going to need. In this instance, I cut about 16. I didn't need 16 at the end of it, but it was helpful to have the extra. So once I get it wrapped, I pull it off and I cut each of the ends to have my 12-inch pieces. And then I'm going to fold it in half. And on that fold, I'm going to cut diagonally to create a dovetail. You'll see that I'm doing this here. Now I ended up cutting, I believe, about 5 different types of ribbon. I had some that were 2.5-inch wired ribbons, and then I had a few that were 1.5-inch wired ribbon. I loved this red and white heart ribbon. I found this one at Michael's. It's super cute and it's pretty high quality. It's pretty thick. So I appreciate that because you don't want your wired ribbon to be too thin because it will end up being more flimsy. So when you can find these thicker ribbons, it's great to grab a few extras so that you can use them in various projects throughout the year. And as you can see, I'm doing the same thing. I'm wrapping it and then I pull it off and then I cut it so that each of my strips are 12 inches. Now, as for the board, I will say there are people that sell boards that are 12 inches, 15 inches, whatever size you're looking for. I just didn't want to spend the money, so I went out into my garage and created my own, but you may look for one if that's something that you're interested in. It has really helped with me with production time for creating. Next, I'm going to be moving on to placing the ribbon on the garland. You can see I layer the 3 different ribbons here, and then once I have them layered, I pinch them in the middle. I put them right where I had placed the mesh, and then I use those same 2 branches to tie it in. So what I ended up doing here is I used 3 different styles of ribbon on one of the sections of mesh, and then alternating, I used 2 ribbons as a different combination. Again, you just pinch it in the middle, you place it on top of where you secured that mesh, and then you put the ribbon on top of it and you tie those branches together and it will hold everything in place. So as I finish placing all of my ribbon, it's going to be next time to move on to some embellishments. Now, I've made lots of garlands that are just basically mesh and ribbon, and they turn out super cute. But I've also created some that have additional embellishments on them, and it just adds that extra pop when you do that. Now, if you're going to want to sell these, that's definitely going to raise your price, but it also will catch the eye of people who may be looking to purchase from you. So I found these cute little picks. I believe I found them at Hobby Lobby. Pulled them apart. I got about 6 off of one pick, and I just placed them randomly throughout the garland. What I do is I add a little hot glue to the ends, and then whenever I push it into the garland, I try to secure it with one of the branches, and the hot glue will hold. I will say there are different styles of hot glue sticks that you can use. I've been using the Gorilla Glue sticks, and they've been really strong. So I will probably continue to order those because they cool well, they cool quick, and they hold everything in place. And here's the finished product. Comment, let me know what you think. I really enjoy making these. They just add a little extra to your home decor for the season. And you're going to see here, now I have it on my mantle. I'd love to hear what you think. Ask me any questions, anything that you need clarification on. Thanks for joining.